Hi guys, Watch Fanatic here. Now, if you've watched my videos, you might have seen the video I put out about a year ago where I swapped out the original Pepsi bezel, which came with this Pagani Design GMT PD1662 watch, and I put in this enamel blue and black Batgirl Batman bezel from AliExpress. So this bezel was about £5, and I showed you how to do the process. Now, I always wanted the Pepsi. This is a fantastic bezel. I've really enjoyed this watch, and I've been wearing it for a year, and the bezel's done very, very well. And I don't wear this watch every day, but it's probably the most worn watch that I've got, and it's done very well. And it is a good, I would say, pretty good quality bezel for what was, I think, just less than £5. But I thought I'd have a look at AliExpress just to see if there was any ceramic Pepsi style bezels. So I thought perhaps it would be quite nice to swap back to the Pepsi, which is what I wanted originally. And the reason I got rid of the Pepsi bezel which was on there was because the one that was on there had a very heavy numbered loom, which I've got over here to show you. Okay, so this is the original bezel that was on the watch. And I thought it was aluminium, which I don't think it is now. So that's something we're going to experiment with this later. So hold on, please watch to the end of this video, because once I've done this swap, I'm going to find out, was this aluminium? Is it made of something else? So we're going to try some experiments with this. So this one, although it doesn't look like it at the moment, because the process of removing the bezel, I soaked it in acetone, it removed a lot of the heavy loomed numbers. So these numbers were really kind of heavily loomed. I didn't like the look of them. They didn't look sharp. It actually, ironically, looks a bit better now, because the loomed numbers basically transferred themselves to the bottom of this dish when it had some acetone in it. They literally just printed themselves on the bottom. So now this one actually does look better than it did before. However, I thought this was aluminium. So I went on AliExpress and I found another bezel for £5, which says it's ceramic, a Pepsi style bezel. So I purchased that. That's arrived, and I'm gonna fit that. Now, before I do that, here is the bezel itself. I noticed immediately that it looks exactly like the one I took off, but it's not as heavily loomed on the numbers. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to fit this one. So I'm not sure whether this is ceramic. I don't think it is aluminium, but we're going to do some experiments on this one later to find out what it's actually made of. So this is the one they sent me. This was about £4.50. The numbers are much, much sharper. They're not over heavily loomed. They're much more like this one. So I'm happy with that. But the bezel itself, apart from the number loom, is identical. When you turn it over, you can see they're both solid blues, but the red, I'm not sure if this is going to pick up, is some kind of either painted or applied. So I'm thinking it could be a solid blue ceramic bezel that they've then done a red coating or some description on half of it, just on the face side. You can see it's blue underneath the red. But this is £4.50. Now, let's put the old one back. You can tell by looking at this bezel, it's got a much more glassy look to it. It has that enamel look to it, which it kind of looks a bit like glass. Where this one, although it's shiny, it hasn't really got the glass look to it. And in fact, this bezel reminds me more of the vintage Rolex Pepsi, which had the aluminium insert bezel, compared to the modern Rolex, which has the ceramic bezel. Now, the red and blue ceramic bezel is very difficult and expensive to make. So I had another look on AliExpress, and there are some more ceramic bezels that you can buy. There was one for about £30, and that one, in some of the comments, people were saying it looked very light and pink. The red looked very light and pink, although I think it is a proper ceramic bezel. And then there was another one for about £140, which was much closer to the Rolex style ceramic bezel. And apparently that is I think that's a solid blue or solid red. I think it's like solid red ceramic that they then add blue, or it's half and half. I can't quite remember. Anyway, it's a much more expensive process, but I'm not going to drop £140 on a bezel. This watch was only around £65, and that was with the NH movement, the Seiko movement. So not the VF, is it VF or whatever you called it? So not with the Chinese movement. This has got the Japanese movement in it, and that was only about £65, I think, this watch on sale. So yeah, I'm not going to spend double that just on a bezel. So I think I do quite like the vintage looking aluminium more. These colours to me look more like the aluminium colours. As I said, the Rolex colours are a bit deeper, a bit more glassy looking. So I think I'm going to swap it. I'm kind of in two minds about it, because this does look good, but it's only a £5. I'll put this on. I'll wear it. If I don't like it after a certain amount of time, I could buy another one of these, or perhaps a different colour. Perhaps I could get a completely different colour one and a proper ceramic one, and just put it back. So the first thing I need to do is remove the bezel that's on here. Let's just drop that back in there. And to do that, the process I'm going to use some acetone. So last time I used some nail varnish remover. I haven't got any of that, but I looked in my garage and I have actually got acetone, which I bought from Lidl's. It's been in the garage a long time. It's gone a bit rusty, but this is all-purpose Boo Fix thinner, which is basically acetone. So what we want to do is just put a little bit in the bottom of this dish, because we just want to cover the bezel insert, not the whole watch. Obviously make sure that your crown is tight. We don't want anything getting in there, because this could perhaps cause an issue with the gaskets which are on your crown. It hasn't done with mine, but it's something to be wary of. And there's also a anti-reflective coating on these watches. I don't think it has affected it, but bear that in mind. Perhaps it could. I really don't know. So do this at your own kind of risk. So what we're doing is we're going to just put some in a dish, rest this in for like perhaps half an hour to soften up the glue, self-adhesive glue, which is underneath this bezel, so we can lift the bezel off without having to take this whole bezel ring off. Just lift the insert out. So do this at your own risk. And what we might find is it may start to remove the white numbers, the paint that's inside these numbers, like it did last time. So that's a risk, but I'm willing to take that. Hopefully it won't, but if it does, I could always buy another one. They're only about £4.50. It's not too much of a big deal. So let's pour some of this in. I'm not putting much in. I think I may need to put more in. It's going to be a bit of an experiment. But you want to put the watch in. Yeah, that is enough. More than enough. because when you put the watch in, it's displacing some of the liquid, making it a bit deeper. Let's show you. But it's not deep enough to go into the crown, but it's deep enough to cover the actual bezel insert. So that should work its way under the glue. And we'll give that half an hour, and then hopefully we'll be able to remove that bezel, clean it up and put the new one on. So it's been about 20-25 minutes. Let's see if it's softened up the glue. And to do that, just grab hold of the bezel, and then I'm going to use my thumb to see if I can move the bezel independently of the actual, move the insert. There we go. So you can see the insert is now sliding backwards and forwards inside the bezel. So the glue has softened obviously quite a lot. So now we want to get this off. So I've got a pin. I'm just going to dry that off a bit. Grab my, actually it's a needle I think. Grab the needle. Just a small gap between the glass and the bezel. Look, this is clicked straight out. Because I think the self-adhesive tape they give you probably wasn't as strong as the original stuff on there. So that's this acetone I've got here. Maybe this one here is probably a lot stronger than the nail varnish remover that I used last time. So now we need to, and let me just have a quick look at this bezel. All the numbers are still on there. And it hasn't transferred itself to the bottom, so I think that one could be reused again if I get all the glue off the back. So the next thing we want to do is clean any removing glue, any leftover glue, which there is a lot, out of here. So I'll dip that Q-tip into the acetone and work all that stuff out. Wipe it on that paper towel. You know, this really doesn't take very long. The trickiest bit is applying the self-adhesive sticker thing they give you. Self-adhesive tape. But this is a lot better than last time because I think this glue is nowhere near as strong as what was on there originally. Last time I did this, it took me quite a long time to fish out all the residue. So yes, let's use the dry side now. That's pretty much got all of that out. Now, the self-adhesive tab ring, whatever it is, that's come with this one, if you look, we're only going to be using the outside ring, and that is really thin. I don't know if you can see that, but that outer ring is ever so thin. And that's what's going to be left on there, onto the bezel. Luckily, I have one from the old, they sent two, with the blue bezel that I put on, they sent two. So, you see that's a proper 3M one, and you can see that is a wider, you can see that edge is wider. So I think we'll use this one. So what we do here, if I remember rightly, grab your bezel insert, you peel this off in one piece, like that. Peel the backing paper off. There's always one bit that doesn't want to come, isn't there? Okay, so you peel that's peeled the outside off. I'm just trying to remember how to do this. Yeah, then you can place it on the bezel. So this is a bit you've got to get right. So the inside paper's still on it. And then I'm going to line this up and get this stuck on there. Get that side nicely stuck down. Now we can remove the insert and the backing paper and go for putting it inside. So that's the middle section out. Just making sure it's all tucked inside. I'll take the backing paper off. Now place it so you get the triangle lined up with the top triangle, although it's going to turn anyway, but let's just get it all lined up nicely so that it's all correctly lined up. Press it into place. It's going to realign perfectly. Look at that. Let's just give that a little polish off my t-shirt. There you go. That is the new insert inserted. And I think that looks really nice. It's definitely got that kind of aluminium look. And now we're going to experiment on this old one, which I don't need anymore. So this is identical to that one, as I said, apart from this had far more loom paint on the numbers, which was kind of spoiling the look of it. But this one really looks nice and sharp. I don't think that is fluorescent loom. On the blue one, where did I put it? So here's the blue one. This one, when I tested it under the light, the lettering didn't light up. So I don't think this one will either. I will probably test that later. I'm not that bothered, to be quite honest with you. But the old one that came with the Pagani really was, this really did light up. I think yellow. There was far too much of it on there. Let's have a quick look at that on the wrist. Such a simple procedure anyway. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. Make sure all the smudges are off it. It was a bit overcast here. It's just starting to brighten up a little bit. So we've got some natural daylight on there. Yeah, and that looks really smart. Much better with the more crisp numbers than what was on there before. It's not as glassy looking as that one. You know, that was a really good looking bezel, but it does look good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's have a look. So this one I've got to get all the glue off, which I'll soak in the acetone a bit more and get this glue off. And then we're going to attack the Pepsi bezel, the old one. I want to see what it's made of, because if it's aluminium, it will bend. I'm just removing the old glue off this, because I could reuse this again. Because even without this double-sided take, I think if you had some kind of like PVA, not PVA, there's a basic glue, a clear glue, which I've got a tube of, which I was going to use. Worst case scenario, I was going to use like a needle and drop a little bit of this glue around and just glue it on, because it would be the type of glue which softens up again under acetone. Just kind of general purpose glue, not super glue, but a clear kind of general purpose glue, which would have been good enough for this. And something interesting's happening here. So I think this is black, and you can see the blue paints coming off. So this acetone is very strong, which I've got in this tin. I think these ones are black where they've applied blue, because now the blue is coming off with the acetone. Yeah, on that, I think. Interesting. Anyway, let's put that to one side. I'll get off of it. I'm kind of intrigued to know what these things are actually made out of. So let's get... This is the one that's come off. I'm covered in glue now. And 1 second. I'm just giving my hands a little bit of a clean up. Giving that a little bit of a clean up. As you can see, that's still in good shape. So I could theoretically use that one again if I get bored with this one. But I'm thinking that's looking pretty good. So as I was saying, here is the original one. Now, what is it made of? Will it bend? If it's aluminium, it will bend, won't it? And it is bending. So I think this was advertised as aluminium, as a ceramic, but ceramic shouldn't bend, should it? It should snap. Let's see. So that looks like metal in the middle. So what was advertised as a ceramic bezel insert is aluminium, painted aluminium. I was going to check if it's plastic. And to see if it's scratched. Yeah. It's definitely aluminium. So it would appear that it's just a painted aluminium ring. That's, I think, what you got there. I was going to see if it melted, but there's no point. I've got my matches here because I was going to see if it like burnt like plastic, but I can see that is just aluminium. There's no doubt about it. I don't think. We can test it, but I've removed the acetone out of there, so it's not going to set fire to anything. It's getting very hot. It's definitely aluminium because the whole thing has just got very hot. It's not plastic, it's aluminium, it's not ceramic. So this one, another one that was sold as ceramic, it certainly looked more ceramic. It had that kind of glassy look to it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's aluminium with a very glossy paint on it. So there's something to think about. And you see these bezels and they say ceramic and whatnot. They're probably aluminium. Although this one, to be fair, really does look like ceramic. Very glossy. This one, yeah, now we know it's aluminium. It's a painted aluminium. They paint the whole thing blue and then they've done a red there. But it is spot on with the Pepsi colours. That's what I liked about it. It's more vintage looking Pepsi colours, but it is the spot on Pepsi colours. So I'm happy with that. And now that I'm thinking that isn't actually a ceramic one either, I'm kind of less likely to feel bad that it's not a ceramic one. I mean, without bending that and breaking it, actually, I'm probably never going to put it back on. I think for the sake of the video, let's see if this, what I thought was a ceramic, is ceramic, or is it aluminium? Let's see if this one bends as well. Because I won't put this back on. I'll probably try a different colour again. I'm gonna keep this one on anyway. I like that. Let's see what happens to this one. Ah! This one is ceramic. That snapped. That one snapped. That's definitely ceramic. So I won't be using that one again. Which is fine. I wasn't going to put that back on anyway. So these ones for £5, and it did look more glassy. So I'm quite glad I've done that because now I know these ones are actually ceramic. You can feel it's sharp. It feels like very thin tile or something like that. You know, like you get a ceramic tile or a bit of pottery. It's got that. I can't snap this without digging in my fingers, but yeah. There we go. So I was correct in the first video when I said that this was an aluminium bezel. And I've gone back to it, albeit a much sharper looking one. And I think that does actually look really good. And if I get bored, I'm going to definitely have to buy another one because I've ruined this one now. So that's that. But at least I've learned that, yeah, you cannot get that in ceramic unless you're paying at least £30 for a really bad pinky looking one. To get a decent one, you're going to be spending 60, more likely £140 to get a proper ceramic Pepsi bezel, which nobody's going to do for a Pagani Design, I wouldn't imagine. So you just have to stick really with this aluminium one. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more watch related content. Got plenty of videos in my back catalogue to watch. Please make a comment. Have you swapped over your bezel? How did you get on? Was it a success? It's a quick thing to do anyway. They're ever so cheap. You know, you can buy a bezel for £4.50 or whatever. It's something you can swap out regularly. Right, that's it. Well, I'm going to get on and enjoy my Pepsi GMT. Please take care.